You are fortunate. If you have learned the difference between temporary defeat and failure, think carefully about that. Many people confuse these two, and in doing so, they destroy their own progress before it has even begun. Temporary defeat is not the end. It is the teacher that prepares you for the victory to come. Failure, on the other hand, comes only when you stop learning from your defeats. Hold this in your mind as we go forward, for it is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn. More fortunate still are those who understand that within every defeat lies the very seed of success. Yes, every defeat you have ever faced contains within it the blueprint for triumph. Do not rush past this idea. Take a moment to let it sink in. Every obstacle, every setback, every challenge you meet is carefully designed by the very law of nature to teach you something invaluable. Let me share with you what I have observed over many years of careful study. Social heredity. The method through which knowledge passes from one generation to another is far more powerful than most people realize. It is not enough to know that man gathers knowledge through his senses. The true power lies in how that knowledge is transmitted, absorbed, and applied. That is the secret hidden behind every successful individual, and also behind every success story in nature itself. I will begin with a simple observation from the world of animals. Many years ago, I discovered the nest of a ruffed grouse. The nest was situated in such a way that I could observe the mother bird from a considerable distance. With a pair of field glasses, I watched her every move until her young were hatched. The very first hours of a young bird's life are crucial, for this is when the law of social heredity begins its work. When the little birds emerged from the shell, I approached the nest to see what would happen. The mother bird, seeing me, immediately employed a clever ruse. She pretended to be crippled, hobbling away from the nest, feathers disarranged, leading me away from her young. This was no random act. It was an instinctive lesson in self-preservation. And here lies the first principle, even in nature. Knowledge is carefully transmitted to protect the young from dangers that they have never faced before. When I looked at the chicks, they displayed no fear. They were curious, moving their heads from side to side, taking in every detail of the world around them. I placed one gently back into the nest after lifting it. I stepped away to give the mother a chance to return, and soon she did. She gathered her brood around her, and, in her own way, began to instruct them. Imagine her words, spoken without sound, but perfectly understood. You foolish little creatures. Do not allow men to handle you. Observe, learn, and protect yourselves. Your survival depends upon it. This lesson was absorbed instantly. When I approached the nest again, the chicks had vanished, hiding themselves perfectly. Having learned the vital skill of self-preservation, this is social heredity in action. Knowledge passed from parent to offspring, ensuring survival and instilling intelligence, without the need for trial and error by each generation. Consider another example, this time from my own experience. As a boy, I captured a young crow and raised it as a pet. It learned many tricks, displaying intelligence that seemed remarkable. Yet, once it encountered its wild relatives in a dispute with an owl, it instinctively returned to its natural instincts, abandoning the comfort of domestic life. Social heredity had reasserted itself. The crow returned briefly, signaling its intentions, then departed for good. From this, I learned a crucial lesson. Experience alone is not always enough. One must also respect the forces of nature that guide instinct, teaching lessons that sometimes cannot be ignored. Even the most cunning animals, like foxes, are guided by lessons learned from experience. A fox may attack a skunk once, but never again. The scent, a single experience, ensures that for a lifetime the fox avoids unnecessary danger. One lesson is sufficient. In human life, it is no different. Lessons, whether from failure, observation, or guidance from others, shape our decisions, reactions, and success. I have also observed the bullfrog, who once hooked and escaped will never repeat the same mistake. The dog I once owned, an Airedale, had a habit of stealing chickens. Each time he was punished, he repeated the behavior until social heredity was applied in a carefully planned lesson. When exposed to a hen that fought back vigorously, the dog learned to respect the danger. One experience, well taught, can change a lifetime of behavior. All these examples, from birds to dogs to frogs, illustrate a truth about knowledge and success. Direct experience is valuable, but observation and guided learning are even more powerful. Those who understand this principle can leverage it in human life, teaching the young, influencing minds, and guiding actions in a manner that multiplies success and reduces unnecessary failure. Notice how fear operates in both animals and humans. Fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of public opinion. These forces drive men to overwork or to retreat into inactivity. Misapplied, these fears become they destroy initiative. They blind one to opportunity. But understood and guided, they teach caution, patience, and strategy. Every experience, every observation, every moment of struggle carries within it a hidden lesson, a seed for self-confidence and eventual success. Consider the story of the wealthy children who never struggled. Their inheritance, intended as a blessing, became their weakness. Lack of necessity stunted their lives, untouched by real challenge, led to ruin. Contrast this with those who struggled, who faced obstacles early and learned from them. Struggle, when rightly understood, becomes a tool for developing willpower, discipline, and foresight. Even the law of autosuggestion depends on this principle. Thoughts impressed upon the mind repeatedly shape actions, reactions, and destiny. Optimism attracts optimism. Faith attracts faith. A man who focuses on the best in others draws out the best, while one who dwells on the negative attracts disappointment. Here again, we see the natural principle at work, a principle we can consciously apply to guide our lives toward success. Now, let us return to the lesson from animals. Mother birds, protective hens, clever foxes, and observant crows all demonstrate that learning is most deeply absorbed when paired with vivid, emotional, or high-stakes experience. The young absorb these lessons rapidly because the information is linked to survival, to consequence, to instinct. In human life, emotion, attention, and relevance perform the same function. A lesson must matter, must touch, must engage. Only then will it be remembered and acted upon. So, as you listen to these stories, imagine yourself as both the observer and the participant. Feel the stakes. Understand the consequences. Let each anecdote imprint on your mind. These are not merely tales of birds and dogs. They are mirrors of your own mind, of the lessons you must internalize to harness the forces of nature, social heredity, and self-suggestion for your own success. In conclusion, for this part, remember, every defeat carries a lesson. Every experience has a seed of growth, and every observation can shape your future. The creatures of the world teach us this truth every day. By observing carefully and applying these principles, you can transform temporary setbacks into stepping stones toward enduring success. Now, let us examine what happens when human beings fail to understand the lessons that defeat and struggle are meant to teach. Many men, after facing disappointment, allow their minds to dwell upon negative thoughts. A friend proves false, a neighbor indifferent, or a business deal falls through. Immediately, the mind decides, all men are untrustworthy. All efforts are futile. Pause and think about that. Notice how this single thought, repeated over and over, embeds itself deeply into the subconscious mind. It shapes perception, colors, attitude, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, transforms potential into stagnation. Every opportunity that appears is either ignored or mishandled because the mind has been trained to expect failure. Here is where the principle of autosuggestion comes into play. The human mind is like a garden. Whatever seeds you plant and water with repetition and emotion will grow. Thoughts of failure and distrust grow weeds. Thoughts of optimism, courage, and faith grow flowers and fruits. This is no exaggeration, it is a law, as real and predictable as gravity. Consider a man who sees the best in all whom he meets. Even if his neighbors act indifferent, he notices nothing but the positive qualities. If he is met with harsh words, he replies softly. Through this simple, consistent practice, he attracts others who think in harmony with his own positive attitude. The law of attraction is always working, silently but powerfully. Yet, there is another obstacle, the fear of public opinion. Many talented individuals remain in the background of life, not because they lack skill, but because they fear criticism. They underestimate themselves, assuming that modesty and caution will protect them. Instead, they allow their own fears to dominate their thoughts, slowly eroding ambition and self-confidence. This fear can be more dangerous than any external obstacle. It convinces a man to remain idle while others advance. It is the whisper that says, "Do not try. Do not speak. Do not act. What will they think?" But life does not reward those who hide. It rewards those who take deliberate action, even in the face of possible criticism or temporary defeat. Let me illustrate this with a story from my observations of youth and inheritance. A baby boy was born to a wealthy family, surrounded by servants and guardians whose duty was to prevent every harm. This child never learned to dress himself, to explore independently, or to face minor challenges. He had everything provided, and as he grew, he learned dependence instead of self-reliance. One day, the gate of the estate was left open. The child, never having been outside alone, dashed toward it in innocent curiosity and tragedy struck. He was run down by an automobile. A life filled with protection, without struggle, had left him unprepared for even the simplest challenge. This story is not merely cautionary, it demonstrates a principle. Struggle is necessary for growth. Contrast this with children who face challenges from the very beginning. They learn resilience, problem solving, and the value of effort. They develop self-confidence, not because it is handed to them, but because it is earned through experience. Struggle, rightly understood, is not punishment. It is preparation for the heights of achievement that await them. Now, let us turn our attention to those who are wealthy, yet idle. The children of privilege often inherit vast sums without ever earning them. Some parents, believing that they are doing a kindness, shield their children from all labor, but the results are disastrous. Lack of necessity leads to weakness of will, loss of initiative, and gradual atrophy of mental faculties. Self-confidence fades, and the individual drifts through life on uncertainty, like a leaf carried by a wandering wind. Contrast this with the man who earns his way, who fights his way through challenges. Each obstacle strengthens him. Each failure teaches him a lesson. Each temporary defeat becomes a stepping stone to mastery. The mind, like a muscle, grows stronger through exercise. The human spirit flourishes under pressure, not comfort. Observe, too, the power of faith in action. One of the greatest salesmen in our country, who began as a timid young man, illustrates this beautifully. He was quiet, retiring, hesitant to step into the limelight. But one evening, he heard a lecture on self-confidence that changed everything. He left the hall with determination burning in his mind. I will succeed. I will master the art of selling. I will not be denied. With that clarity of purpose, he approached his first challenge, selling advertising space to merchants who had been rejected by every other solicitor. He did not choose the easy targets. He selected the 12 most difficult, the impossibles, every morning. He read the list, repeating to himself, "You will purchase advertising space from me before the end of the month." Then he began to act. Day by day, he approached these merchants with persistence, optimism, and unwavering faith in his own ability. The first day, he closed deals with 3 of the 12. By the end of the week, 2 more. By the end of the month, all but 1 had become clients, even when the final merchant said no repeatedly. The young man persisted, his confidence unshaken. On the last day, The merchant finally asked why he had continued for 30 consecutive days. The young man replied firmly, "I have wasted no time. Every effort was preparation. Every refusal a step closer to your eventual yes." Notice the lesson here: self-confidence, persistence, and the careful use of autosuggestion create results that the timid, the fearful, or the passive can never achieve. Temporary defeat was never a reason to quit, was an opportunity to build skill, character, and mastery. And here lies the principle that governs all achievement: organized effort, guided by self-confidence and belief in oneself, transforms temporary obstacles into lasting success. Every great achiever has mastered this principle, often without knowing the exact mechanics, but with the certainty that effort, persistence, and faith produce results. As we continue in the next part, we will examine even deeper applications of these principles, including the power of the subconscious mind, the ways in which belief shapes reality, and how temporary setbacks, if properly interpreted, become the very instruments of ultimate triumph. As we move forward, let us explore the deeper forces that shape human destiny, forces that operate quietly, yet powerfully, through our own minds. Many fail to recognize that the subconscious mind is a fertile field where every thought, repeated and emotionally charged, takes root. Positive thoughts produce growth and opportunity. Negative thoughts, fear, and doubt grow like weeds, choking ambition and self-confidence. Consider the man who has been born into poverty. From his earliest memory, he has seen lack, heard talk of scarcity, and felt its chilling grip. Without conscious effort, he accepts poverty as his inevitable fate. His dominating thought becomes, "Once poor, always poor." Slowly, he surrenders his potential, much like a horse that has been harnessed until it forgets its own strength. Yet, there is hope in understanding the law of autosuggestion. When the mind is trained to believe in possibilities, to visualize success, and to expect opportunity, it begins to attract the right circumstances, the right people, and the right actions. Self-confidence is developed, not inherited. It grows from deliberate practice, repeated affirmation, and fearless action. Let me illustrate this with a story of inheritance and its hidden dangers. A child, born into wealth, is shielded from struggle by servants, caregivers, and overprotective parents. Everything is done for him: dressing, feeding, walking. He learns dependence, not initiative. Then, a moment of freedom arrives. Gate left open and tragedy strikes. The child, unprepared for even the simplest challenge, suffers loss. The lesson is clear: struggle is essential. It is the forge where ambition, self-confidence, and mental resilience are tempered. Those who avoid struggle, thinking they are doing kindness, often do far greater harm. The human mind, like a muscle, grows strong only under exercise, challenge, and demand. Without this, it weakens, and potential fades. Now let us examine how persistence transforms ordinary people into masters of their craft. Consider the timid young man who became the greatest salesman the country has ever seen. He began as quiet and hesitant, avoiding attention. But a single lecture on self-confidence changed his course. Leaving the hall, he made a firm determination: "I will succeed. I will take control of my life. No obstacle will deter me." With courage and strategy, he tackled the hardest challenges first. He made a list of 12 merchants, all previously rejected by other solicitors. Each morning, he read the list aloud, repeating to himself, "You will purchase advertising space from me." Before the end of the month, day by day, he persisted, even in the face of repeated refusals. This persistence, guided by clear purpose and belief in self, produced results beyond imagination. By the end of the month, all but one of his targets had become clients. Even the final holdout, after 30 consecutive refusals, acknowledged the young man's unwavering determination. Notice the pattern: temporary defeat is never permanent. Each no is a lesson, a training, a building block for eventual success. The mind, when disciplined and focused, converts adversity into opportunity. This principle is universal. Across every field: sales, leadership, science, or art, those who master persistence and self-confidence rise to prominence. Yet, there is another crucial factor: the law of social heredity. Knowledge, behavior, and habit are often learned from those around us: parents, mentors, peers. Observe how early experiences, emotionalized and repeated, shape our beliefs. A child taught fear, limitation, or dependency will carry these patterns into adulthood unless consciously corrected. Conversely, lessons of courage, initiative, and resilience, modeled consistently, create lifelong strength. Consider the mother bird I once observed. She taught her young to fear man by demonstration, not lecture. Her actions, vivid and emotionally charged, instilled a lasting instinct. Similarly, humans absorb powerful lessons from their environment. Parents, teachers, and mentors who model confidence, courage, and initiative leave a permanent imprint on young minds. To harness these laws, one must act with deliberate intention. Repetition, emotional engagement, and belief are required to embed new thought patterns. Negative habits must be identified and replaced with empowering beliefs. Autosuggestion becomes the tool through which transformation occurs, turning potential energy into visible achievement. Finally, recognize the power of organized effort. Talent alone is insufficient. Opportunity alone is insufficient. Success results from purposeful action, guided by self-confidence, persistence, and constructive thought. The great achievers, whether in business, science, or the arts, share this common formula. They understand that the mind, when properly directed, commands circumstances, attracts allies, and converts challenges into triumphs. As we continue into part 4, we will examine how fear, especially the fear of poverty, failure, and criticism, limits potential. We will learn practical methods to neutralize these fears, replace them with empowering thoughts, and direct the mind to attract success. We will explore the exact steps through which ordinary men and women transform their lives, using the same principles I am teaching you today. Now, let us confront the most insidious barrier to success: fear. Fear of poverty, fear of failure, fear of criticism, fear of what might happen. These are the invisible chains that bind the human spirit. Many toil relentlessly, yet never achieve true satisfaction, because their minds are clouded by these fears. Fear is an energy that, when misdirected, becomes a destructive force. When rightly directed, it can be a powerful motivator. Observe the man who overworks his body to avoid poverty. He sacrifices health, rest, and joy, thinking that more effort will guarantee safety. Ironically, this very struggle often brings the illness or breakdown he seeks to avoid. He is blind to the natural forces surrounding him: the rivers, the forests, the people, and the countless opportunities that could have propelled him to success. Instead, he fights against the currents of life, exhausting his body and mind, missing the ease and harmony that organized effort brings. Here is where the principle of autosuggestion becomes crucial. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between imagined fears and real threats. If a man repeatedly tells himself, consciously or unconsciously, that he is at risk, that people are untrustworthy, or that circumstances are against him, the mind accepts this as truth. The law of attraction then responds, drawing like-minded conditions, skeptics, and obstacles into his life. Conversely, the man who fills his mind with optimism, courage, and faith in others attracts supportive people, opportunities, and solutions. The universe does not discriminate. It simply mirrors the dominating thoughts of the mind. Speak kindly to yourself, expect success, and act with confidence. Watch how life aligns with your inner belief. Consider another example: the timid individual who fears criticism. This person has the skills, knowledge, and potential to achieve greatness, but hesitates, remaining in the shadows. The principle of autosuggestion reinforces this hesitation. Each internal warning, "What if I fail?" What will people say? Deepens self-doubt. The result, potential wasted opportunity missed. Now, imagine the same person adopting a new approach. Each morning he affirms, I am capable. I will succeed. I trust myself and others. Over time, these affirmations become ingrained. The subconscious mind begins to filter experiences in alignment with these beliefs. Courage replaces fear, initiative replaces hesitation, and self-confidence blooms. Fear, therefore, is not to be eliminated in a single effort, but gradually transformed. Awareness of fear is the first step. Recognition allows us to channel this energy constructively. Fear of poverty can become determination to create wealth ethically. Fear of failure can become resilience, encouraging repeated effort. Fear of criticism can become a shield of focused action, unshaken by opinion. Another critical concept is the value of struggle. Many parents, believing in kindness, shield their children from difficulty. I worked hard, so they shouldn't have to, they say. Yet, this well-intentioned act often cripples ambition. Struggle develops discipline, perseverance, and self-reliance, qualities that wealth and comfort cannot instill. Those who face challenges early in life often emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable than those who are pampered. Let me illustrate with a true example. Two sons of a wealthy man, provided with abundance, privilege, and protection. They never needed to fight for anything, never faced significant obstacles, yet were free to indulge every desire. Over 20 years, the effects of comfort without struggle became evident. One succumbed to addiction, the other to mental instability. The wealth intended to secure their lives instead failed to prepare them for it. Compare this to a young clerk, timid and poor, who embraced struggle as a teacher. Every challenge, every refusal, every small failure was an opportunity to learn. Through persistence, and organized effort, he became the world's leading salesman. Admired and respected. The contrast is clear. Struggle, when understood and utilized, becomes the very foundation of success. As we continue, we must also understand the law of social heredity and its impact on personal development. The habits, beliefs, and fears of parents, mentors, and communities imprint deeply upon young minds. When children witness courage, honesty, and resilience, they absorb these qualities. When they witness fear, dependency, and doubt, these too become embedded. Conscious guidance and positive reinforcement, therefore, are indispensable in shaping capable, confident individuals. Finally, Part 4 emphasizes the interplay of self-confidence, fear, and persistence. Self-confidence is not merely a trait, it is a cultivated force. Fear is not merely a barrier, it is a signal to act with awareness. Persistence is not merely repetition, it is intelligent, focused, and purposeful effort. Mastery of these principles transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary ones. As we approach Part 5, we will explore practical strategies to implement these principles daily. You will learn how to harness autosuggestion, transform fear into action, maintain unwavering persistence, and cultivate self-confidence in every domain of life. You will see, step by step, how ordinary thoughts, habits, and experiences, when consciously directed, shape a life of achievement, purpose, and fulfillment. As we enter this final chapter, let us focus on application. Knowledge without action is powerless. All the principles we have discussed, social heredity, persistence, struggle, and the mastery of fear must now be applied in your daily life. Only through deliberate, consistent action do these laws of success yield tangible results. First, recognize that every defeat is temporary, and within it lies the seed of success. Each setback contains lessons invisible to the impatient or unobserved. The individual who learns to see opportunity in adversity begins to transform obstacles into stepping stones. Instead of lamenting failure, he analyzes it, extracts the lesson, and moves forward with renewed determination. This mindset separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Next, embrace persistence as a daily practice. True persistence is not blind repetition. It is focused, intelligent, and adaptive. When a door closes, explore other doors. When a challenge seems insurmountable, break it into smaller tasks. Persist with creativity and strategy, not mere stubbornness. History is filled with examples of men and women who achieved greatness not because the path was easy, but because they refused to quit despite repeated setbacks. Consider the power of autosuggestion once more. Your subconscious mind responds to the thoughts you dwell upon. Fill it with positive, constructive, and goal-oriented beliefs. Repeat affirmations that reinforce confidence, competence, and courage. Visualize the outcomes you desire, as if they are already reality. The mind cannot distinguish between vivid mental rehearsal and actual experience. This principle, when applied daily, rewires your mind to act in alignment with success. Fear, when understood, becomes a guide, not a jailer. Fear signals areas requiring attention, preparation, and strategy. Use it to sharpen your focus, not to paralyze action. The man who converts fear into a motivating force develops resilience, adaptability, and foresight. This is the difference between those who drift through life and those who steer it with purpose. Now, let us return to the value of struggle. Do not seek to avoid difficulty. Life's challenges are teachers in disguise. Each problem encountered, each difficulty endured, strengthens character, sharpens judgment, and builds the self-reliance that wealth, privilege, or ease cannot provide. The individual who embraces struggle learns discipline, patience, and self-control, virtues that compound into lifelong advantage. Social heredity, as previously discussed, shapes our early beliefs and habits. However, adult individuals can consciously reshape their mental environment. Surround yourself with supportive, inspiring, and ambitious people. Seek mentors who exemplify the qualities you wish to develop. Guard against negative influences that reinforce fear, doubt, or complacency. Just as early lessons imprint deeply, consistent adult practice can rewire your mind toward confidence, courage, and proactive initiative. Self-confidence is the linchpin of all achievement. It is the fuel that powers persistence, the lens through which opportunity is seen, and the shield against fear's paralyzing effect. To cultivate it, act as if you are already competent and capable. Take responsibility for your actions, and accept that mistakes are stepping stones, rather than judgments on your worth. Each small success reinforces confidence, which in turn attracts more success. Remember the story of the young clerk turned world-leading salesman. His transformation was not sudden, nor was it magical. It was the consistent application of principles, persistence, autosuggestion, the conscious overcoming of fear, and the intelligent use of struggle. Each refusal, each challenge, each small victory contributed to the larger arc of achievement. Let his example serve as proof that greatness is built, not inherited. Practical application demands daily rituals. Start each day by affirming your goals, visualizing success, and reinforcing confidence. Review challenges from the previous day, extract lessons, and plan actionable steps for improvement. Break large goals into manageable tasks and pursue them consistently. Reflect regularly to ensure alignment with your ultimate objectives. Success is rarely the product of a single heroic effort. It is the accumulation of daily, intelligent, and purposeful action. Finally, let us consider the principle of gratitude and reflection. While striving for achievement, never neglect the value of appreciating progress and lessons learned. Gratitude reinforces positivity, attracting more opportunities and support. Reflection provides clarity, ensuring that effort is directed intelligently rather than wasted in futile action. Together, these practices enhance your ability to harness the laws of success effectively. In conclusion, the journey to success is not mystical or reserved for a chosen few. It is a process governed by universal laws that anyone can understand and apply. The laws of autosuggestion, social heredity, fear, management, persistence, and the value of struggle are the tools with which you may sculpt your life. Applied consistently, they transform ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Remember, you are the architect of your destiny. Each thought, each action, each decision is a brick in the structure of your life. Build wisely, persist relentlessly, and act courageously. Success is not a distant dream. It is the natural result of disciplined, focused, and intelligent application of these timeless principles. As you proceed, take a moment each day to visualize the life you desire. Affirm your confidence, embrace challenges as teachers, and persist with unwavering determination. This is the path that Napoleon Hill and the great thinkers of history advocate. Path open to every individual. Willing to apply knowledge, courage, and consistent effort, your journey does not end here. Every experience, every challenge, and every lesson is a step toward mastery. Apply these principles daily and watch your life transform beyond imagination. Success is not a destination. It is the outcome of living each day with purpose, focus, and the conscious application of these enduring laws.